These two guys are banned for life from the World Series of Poker, I believe.
Because they basically cheated.
Two very good players, two guys who were at the final two in a major event. They're banned for life, and all the one dude had to do was call in sick. Welcome to another edition of the Inside Game podcast. I, as always, am with my brother, Mr. Derek Brooks. I am Paul Martino. We are here with a very special guest and on a very special day. Today is the beginning of the main event, the World Series of Poker's final table. It actually probably started about 5-10 minutes ago. And we're here with Jamie Gold. Jamie Gold probably won, in my opinion, the most important poker tournament of all time during the poker boom in 2006. Jamie, how much money was it? It was a couple bucks?
12 million.
12 million. Jamie won the 2006 main event. This year's main event, first place is $10 million, just like it was last year. Chump change compared to the 12 that Jamie won. I'm joking a little bit, but when they finally eclipsed 10,000 entrants the year before, they had Jamie give a hell of a speech kind of to commemorate that this is the first time since 06 that they eclipsed that number of entrants. What happened for some of you guys who don't know all this was there was a huge poker boom that happened, and then all of a sudden the government decided, well, maybe poker shouldn't be legal. And so Jamie was part of that wave of the first poker boom, and it took almost 20 years until that same level of interest was in poker and regulation came over. So Jamie, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, I love being here with you. And just to be fair, Chris Moneymaker was the first poker boom when he won.
03.
And I think, yeah, that was certainly, the most important event at the time. And then I was fortunate enough to be part of the second poker boom.
That's right.
And I think we're experiencing a third poker boom now, but the world doesn't feel it yet. I think that there's a misunderstanding in the general world that poker is not doing as well as it's doing, where there are more people buying in. An event that I played last year that had 2,000 entrants, this year it had 10,000.
Yep.
And so it's and all over the world, they're breaking records everywhere. So whether it's the Irish Open or in France or in Italy or in Asia, they're just bigger and bigger and bigger. There were more people playing in the World Series of Poker combined this year. In the main event, it's the third biggest one ever.
Yep.
But after all of the issues with the government telling people that they need to be on 30-day visas and they have to sign up with the Department of Homeland Security, and they're dissuading people from traveling into the United States, and so that has certainly cut down the numbers. But still, we had bigger numbers than almost ever. And so I think that there is this misconception that poker is not growing every year, which it is. And I think that sponsors are starting to now finally figure it out. And next year, we're hearing that it is going to be on some type of traditional television. Right now, CBS plays highlights.
Yep.
CBS Sports.
Much later.
Yeah, much later.
That's the key is who wants to watch the NBA Finals too? Remember back in the day, they used to have it on VHS tape. Can you imagine the NBA Finals years ago when we were kids? They didn't even do it live, right? That's how long ago that was. But can you imagine a live event like it's going on right now, and everybody's got their Twitter feed literally right now? Everybody's got it. But I'm going to wait to watch the highlights on CBS in 2 weeks.
I know.
Come on, I'm not going to do that.
It is.
I'm not going to do that.
There are a lot of people that don't want to do that. In 2026, I'm told that there could be a big change coming, and that they will, after 10 years, bring it back to the masses, and with more documentary style features and more content related to poker. And so you and I are in the movie and TV business, and we understand the gaming related movie and television business very well. And there's such a lack of it that people think because one movie was made about, in a very crappy way about poker, that they forget about all the great ones. They forget about Rounders, and they forget about all the Molly's Game and all the good ones. There's one, and then they just say, well, poker doesn't work in movies. Come on. There's 60 to 80 million people just in America, 200 million people in Europe, and 500 million people in Asia that are dying for poker content.
Hey, Jamie, did you ever play in Molly's game?
I did.
No, a
lot.
You ever play in Molly's game?
A lot. Twice a week for 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all right. So you open the door up. So what's that movie get right? What's that movie get wrong? Because I got an opinion on that, by the way.
What's the movie get right? I'm not sure. But what's the movie get wrong?
Oh, I know that
Basically
one.
everything. Just to to be a little bit unfair, almost everything was untrue. As someone who was there, who was in it, I'm a friend of Molly, so it's not as if I'm not against the concept of her doing what she did, but nobody should watch that thinking that that was real life or based on real events. It had, it was inspired by true events, I think is the legal way to say it, right? Because it's true, she did exist, the game did exist, and some crazy things happened, but what you saw in that film had almost nothing to do with what was really going on.
But let me tell you somebody who is a genius at everything, and he made it clear at the World Series of Poker this year. It's been one of the big controversies. What's his name? Kasuf? Is his name Kasuf? You've seen. We're gonna splice in some of the video because it's clear that Kasuf is the smartest, most genius poker player in the history of mankind. He's actually really good at making friends with people too. That's definitely what I learned.
The cage lady.
Yeah, cage lady. You name it. The floor boss. Jack Eiffel.
Oh,
how many times? That poor guy must have. Anyway, so you got to watch some clips of this guy being a total asshat throughout the entire World Series of Poker. There's no other way to put it. Jamie famously talked to other players when he won on his epic run in 06 when he won. He would talk to the other players. And Jamie, take it from there. Tell people about what you did and how they did change the rules and what this other guy is doing and why there is nothing similar about the two things.
Yeah, so when I realized that I was going to take a year off and focus on poker, I was basically semi-retired. And I didn't know if I'd ever have the time. I didn't know what my life was going to be because I'd never had the time to take 10 days. You assume that you're going to potentially win it.
Right.
So you have to take 10 days off. And so I never had that kind of time. In working in business, I was responsible to the company that I was running. And so when I was 35, I got burned out and I just said, all right, I'm going to take a year off and focus on poker. And I thought this may be my one and only shot to go at the main event. So realizing that I was outclassed, that I was nowhere near the kind of level that I needed to be in tournament poker. I had been playing poker my whole life and pretty well in the high level cash games by this time, but that doesn't mean that you are a fantastic tournament player. So I knew what I didn't know, and I started training with some of the best players in the world and still realizing that, now I'm learning, how to play on 7 different levels, but it doesn't mean that I can go through 9,000 of the greatest players in the world and always be at my best, and compete with their best. So I figured out that the best thing that I could do to give myself a real shot was something that I had never seen been done before. Other people may have done it, but I hadn't seen it. I didn't see it on television. I never experienced it in the tournaments that I was playing in, and I was pretty good at it. It was the mental game of poker where I could talk people in and out of their hands, but in a fun, engaging, clever way. So almost like the little Jedi mind trick, but I would never take it so far that I would get a penalty, that people would say, you're ruining my time, that the floor people would say, hey, could you stop that? Never. It was always, especially in LA, it was an energy that people loved it because the game can get very boring. You're playing 15 hours a day for 10 days straight, hopefully, and you can get really bored after a while. It can become a grind.
It is a grind.
It is a grind.
endurance is like one of the most important requirements to win the event.
It is. I always talk about sleep patterns, hydration, diet, things that people thought I was crazy. Why am I eating blueberries at the table? Why am I talking about, hyperbaric oxygen and all these different things? But I was, maybe a little
like NBA
bit.
Summer League.
Yeah.
I was maybe a little bit ahead of my time at that moment. I realized that if I could master the table talk and psychologically get an advantage with people where I could get people to fold the best hand and I could get people to pay me off. Now, there's also, and I also am, a very social, fun person to play poker with in general, like Paul is, that we like to make the game more fun. There are some people who don't make the game worse or better. Some people make the game worse because they kind of act a little inappropriately sometimes. And then there are people who take it to such a level that I had never seen before, what this guy was doing in this World Series of Poker. And then some people at home would say, how could they give him a penalty? How could they, if you sat at a table with him for 15 hours a day.
He's going to blow your brains out.
And he was nonstop, and then they'd say, oh, he was doing what you were doing. No. It is a completely different thing. Anybody that would ever say, hey, would you do me a favor? I'd rather not talk while I'm playing, then I just wouldn't speak to them. And if I wasn't in the hand, I would never speak to somebody. I realized very quickly that it's only when you're heads up with someone and you're speaking to them, and if they're okay with it, then we make the game more interesting, more fun, what have you. And they would always smile and they'd shake my hand afterwards. I never once had somebody say, you annoyed me, you ruined my experience, or other players at the table would say, you ruined my experience, but that is all that was happening with this guy. He took it to such a level, the incessant, nonstop chatter and just constantly berating people, telling them how terrible they are and this and that, and just really negative. Now, I understand he was doing it within the rules until he broke the rule. And when he broke the rule, they came over and they would also take, let's say, there's a disadvantage to all the other players. If you take 15 minutes on every hand when it should really be 15 seconds, maximum 30 seconds, 2 minutes if it's some big super decision. Right, he was taking 15 minutes on some of his hands. Just sitting there with no decision to make, just wanting to make it about him as a show. I wasn't putting on a show for myself. I was making the game more interesting, and I never took 10 or 15 minutes in a hand, ever. Not once. And so what's going on now was so egregious and so over the line. And then when they would give him a penalty, he would refuse it and say, no, I'm not willing to take the penalty because, and then he'd start threatening the floor men. And you know what? At a certain point, if you are so out of line and you ruin the game for everybody else, you're going to be disqualified. Now, what they did not do, they did not disqualify him during the tournament. They let him play it out. They gave him a penalty. You get a one-round penalty, as everyone should when they go this far. But they should have had harsher penalties, I believe, for him.
Jamie, is there a mechanism with the World Series of Poker to withhold the payment?
No. Because that I know. But
that was the one I was like, I don't think they can withhold the money.
No. But they paid him out, and then they said, but you are barred or banned from the rest of the year. I'm surprised they didn't do it for life. But rest of the year for what he did, because he's ruining the game.
So this is interesting because obviously in anything you do professionally, you have to have a psyche of how you want to go about it and attack it. So it's clear that this individual, this was a premeditated thought. This wasn't something in the moment that he just drummed up.
This was a plan.
It was a premeditated thought. So my question is, and this could very much yield to you playing in 06 and winning it, does your methodology change during the course? Like you might have a game plan going in. So you knew, I want to be conversational, I want to talk to people. During that time of ebb and flow, going through 9,000 people to get to the top, does that change for you?
Sure.
And might it have changed for him?
Well, I look at every table I sit at, because you get moved sometimes, right? You'll lose some players, they'll break tables. You're not always at the same table all the time, and you're never on the same table 2 days in a row.
Sure.
So every time I go to a new table, to me, there's a flow and an energy to it. And you want to basically, either play the opposite of that energy or be part of the flow or whatever it is that you're feeling, but you adjust your game based on what is happening. In the same way that you don't know what cards you're going to get. So whatever cards you get, you have to adjust your plan, because you can't have a plan of, I'm going to play really strong if you get bad cards, you'll be out very quickly. And so your plan can only work based on the factors that are happening within the game. Now with him, did things change? I don't know. I wasn't inside of his head, but I can tell you that he was on such a consistent, 15-hour non-stop. I'm talking about never taking a break for a minute. You don't want to judge people and what they do, but when you're so far, sociopath kind of tendencies, that some people say it was way too much caffeine, some people say it was something stronger. Whatever it was, he was not acting like any human being that you would encounter in life. It was but never stopping. So the only people I've ever encountered like that are on some pretty heavy things.
So in addition to his mental state, which is a sad story, Jamie and I are friends with some of the people who were involved in some of the broadcasts. And I happened to get a drink with one of the people who was involved in one of the broadcasts. When he was on, this crazy guy, it's the highest ratings they have ever recorded.
Sure.
So this is one of those things.
Well, the highest ratings on the behind a paywall, not the highest ratings, of all poker.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
of the
highest ratings of
the thing that could be immediately measured.
Right, right.
And when he was off, the spike would go away. Now I don't know what this says about humanity, but the fact of the matter is it's irrefutable. And look, it's like other sports. It's always good when the NBA's got both a hero and a villain.
Yeah.
Like, who's the biggest villain in the NBA right now?
Shoot, villain. I mean, you could go Isaiah Stewart with Detroit. He's the one who went after LeBron. That'll be an interesting clip that we show.
People watch hockey for the fights.
Yeah,
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And you watch NASCAR, a lot of people watch for the crashes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we are a society that unfortunately supports, psychotic behavior. And that does make more people watch.
That's what happened.
and that's my point.
But there's a point, there's a level to it, right?
I agree.
He could, by the way, this
agree.
isn't the first time he's ever done this. He's been doing this for 10 years. And he used to do it where people would say it was a little bit annoying.
Right.
Now, a little bit annoying, he's now taken to such a level.
Right.
I understand a little bit annoying, and you can kind of laugh at it. And I've played with him, and yeah, he makes some people uncomfortable, and it didn't bother me, but it was never to this level.
Right.
He's taken it so far beyond normal human interaction that he's destroying everyone else's time. And these people put up $10,000. They're now on their final, 8th, 9th, 10th day. They're close to making $1 million to $10 million.
Yeah.
How dare you destroy everyone else's time?
Right.
That's what we're talking about. It's not that he doesn't deserve to be his own character.
Yeah.
It's that he's taken it to a level.
Right.
And I don't think people, and so I would see a lot of the comments online and they don't understand, because if you're not in it, you're not thinking about all the other players, and also
factors.
taking 15 minutes on every hand.
Yeah.
That now gives everybody. You don't. It's not one table left. When you let's just pretend it was 2 tables left. There were more, but let's just pretend it's 2. If one table is playing one hand every 15 minutes, the other table is playing one hand every 1.5 minutes.
It's a big difference.
It's 10 times worse for the people who are over here because they don't have the same action, or 10 times better if you want to look at it that their chips are not going anywhere and these people are constantly getting blinded out. One way or another, it is completely unfair.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are going to adjust the rules or enforce much stronger. They're not going to allow this to go on.
Yeah.
This cannot happen. By the way, I had never gotten a penalty for anything that I did in the World Series of Poker. I've gotten a penalty, I think, once, maybe twice in 20 years for flipping over a card.
And I get that one
and
too.
trying to make the game more interesting, meaning when I'm already all in. So the action can't change. So I'm not trying to.
It's a nonsense rule.
Right. I believe it's a bad rule, but I understand it. And when they give me the penalty, I say, I understand.
Yeah.
I knew that there was a chance. So I didn't freak out at them. I didn't start threatening their lives. And then he thinks that this is going to make his case. And he keeps saying, I'm a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. Well, if you're a lawyer, then you should be smart enough to understand that this only makes your case worse. If you tell the judge to go fuck himself and that you're going to kill him and that you're going to take him down, and what do you think is going to happen in a court of law?
I think it's very much a character, right? Like, I think in professional sports, in acting, and everything that has to do with entertainment, there's always an outlier that says, I have to be so different, so egregiously different that my name will go down in history. Like,
right. So he likes playing the villain. Because
yeah, you saw Happy Gilmore, right?
Of course.
Happy Gilmore fighting everyone on a golf course, right? They were going to throw him off. The guy made a great line. He said, have you seen our ratings?
Right.
We can't throw this guy off. And they put somebody on him to correct his behavior, his character. So do you think they go that direction where they saddle someone?
Like Jamie came out of the film world. I mean, that's a good analogy, right? Jamie produced a great film. That's a whole different story from Jamie's prior life as well. That said, the method actor can occasionally take it a little bit too far.
Yes.
And go, well, geez, you aren't method acting anymore. You're actually that person.
Yes.
But if you were destroying the entire shoot, and we have $100 million on the line,
Yep.
which is what they have in this tournament,
Literally $100
and you're
million.
destroying all the other people who are working on this film, and to make it all about you, guess what?
Yeah.
You're either going to get fired, you're going to get banned, things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Or they will not hire you again. There are a lot of people who you'd say, like, I'm really wondering why their careers didn't go. Well, because they're impossible to work with.
Yeah.
And that rumor gets around.
Yeah.
And the last thing people want to do is a set getting shut down. It costs $1 million a day.
Yeah.
So if you're going to throw a tantrum because it's all about you, and you're going to stop everybody from working because you have to go off on something, right? It's very similar. It's a great analogy.
Hey,
There's a story about this NBA coach. I won't say his name out loud because I don't know if he wants it totally out there that it was him. But he had a team where he was feeling frustration communicating to the guys. They were doing their own thing. He had a bunch of prima donnas. So he went to one of his players and he said, I got to shake things up in the locker room. I'm going to start a fight with one of the players. It's not in his character, but he was going to play a role to try to shake up the team. So the player, he said it's
bond around the player against the coach. That's a great idea.
And so the play, like the psychology behind it was working.
Yeah.
The real life effort, probably not so, right?
Right.
And so the player made a very valid point. He said, it all depends on which player you start to fight with.
That's a great idea.
So he storms in the locker room, he throws the stuff down, he looks around. And these guys they got their shirts off, and they're getting ready to get dressed. And he's looking around, and he's like, I gotta find the weakest looking one. He goes at one guy, and he starts going at him. He throws the chair, and he's storming towards him. Well, the guy who wasn't a very notable player stood up and was like, I've been waiting for this, right? And the coaching staff's like, oh shit. The coach goes, oh shit, and it backfires on him, right? So,
don't pick a bad poker game. Don't pick a fight with the wrong player.
Yeah, and you don't pick the main event
Yeah,
of the World Series of Poker with all the cameras on you. Everyone's watching you. He thought that was the right time to do it because it was the time where you could get the most out of whatever he wanted to call his angle or whatever it was, but. He picked the wrong people. Jack was not having any of it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people can make Jack out to be the villain.
Oh, it's a joke.
He has to shut it down.
Yeah.
He has to look out for all the other players. It's not about any one player.
Right.
If anything, then he would be favoring him, giving him the ability to ruin everybody else's time. He had to do what he did.
By the way, I got to switch gears. We've given this guy way too much time. We won't even say his name again. But there was one other really interesting controversy at this year's World Series of Poker. There are two players go heads up in a bracelet event, Brooks. One guy's was a 10-1 chip lead, about 10-1 to start, right, Jamie?
I'm not sure.
It's pretty close. So one guy's got 10 times as many chips as the other. There's a rule at the World Series of Poker, you can't cut a deal. In a lot of poker tournaments, you can cut a deal and go, okay, we'll split the pot. Okay. And you have a side deal.
Because usually, let's say there's $1 million for the winner, but there's only $500,000 for the loser, and they feel like they both have an equal chance, and they got this far. They'd rather have $750 each.
Makes sense.
So that's the theory behind it.
But the World Series of Poker explicitly forbids deals.
Right, and everyone knows that you can't do that at the World Series of Poker.
Okay.
So player 1 has got 10 times as many chips as player 2. Player 2 is on live stream, and the play looks suspicious. And all the poker pros are like, what's going on here? So they find out that there was a promotion that if you won this promotion,
But from an outside company.
an outside company.
Yeah, not from the World Series of
not from the World
Poker.
Series. This guy entered via a promotion. If he won an event, he got an extra $1 million.
If he won at the World Series of Poker, which had nothing to do with them, it would be like, if Paul said, okay, my fund is going to give $1 million to anybody who wins a bracelet, but if you come and win it through our site, right? You had to win. You had to win it through their site.
So imagine you're the guy with 10 times as many chips. I'm the guy with 1/10 the chips, but I'm the guy who gets the extra $1 million. I go, hey Brooks, send me all your chips slowly over the next couple. And that's literally what these guys did.
Because the winner wasn't going to make $1 million.
Right.
So if he was already making $10 million, none of this would matter.
Yeah.
But it was a smaller event. So the winner was getting, what was the winner getting?
Like 250 grand, something like that.
250 grand. So the $1 million that they could split, theoretically, is way more than either of them was going to win. And it would be crazy to lose that in their minds. It's basically cheating.
Yeah.
To dump to the other player.
Yeah.
Where he could have easily not shown up, gotten sick, not felt well. If you don't show up, you get blinded out, and the other person automatically
wins. He would have gotten all the money.
He could have easily done that.
And so now, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I talked to an official from the World Series of Poker. These two guys are banned for life from the World Series of Poker, I believe.
Because they basically cheated.
So
they colluded.
Two very good players,
Yeah.
two guys who were at the final two in a major event. They're banned for life, and all the one dude had to do was call in sick. So why in the world would you do that? And by the way, it's tough to watch too. Watching this guy intentionally donk his chips off to the other dude, it's like watching a basketball player intentionally miss the shot.
Yeah, imagine if they did that in the finals.
Yeah.
Where in a finals game where the guy just said, I'm not going to play defense, I'm not going to play offense, I'm just going to stand here.
Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. I saw that. It wasn't the finals though. Ben Simmons never made the finals.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, but he did that against Atlanta. He's a player in the Sixers.
No, I know who Simmons is.
He didn't do it for free. No, he didn't do it for free.
$170 million.
I just want to make sure he did not do it for free.
Right.
$170 million.
But he didn't earn that paycheck.
No, I know who Ben Simmons is.
Yeah.
One and done.
We don't like anyway.
Ben is.
Yeah, in Philly, I can imagine.
He's the least Philly player in the history of Philly sports.
Yeah, he's not a Philly guy.
There's controversy of a player right now, Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And if you look at the plays, and he was betting on,
They look at it and they see like the ball going out of bounds. Detroit.
It looks a little
No one thought
fishy.
Detroit would do anything, but they came out and they like stunned New York.
Beat the crap out of him.
Beat them, and everybody said, "Oh, Detroit can win this," and that's when the tables turned. You could see him not playing well.
It's unbelievable.
And you look at it and you say, "Oh."
and then he's been betting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the investigations go far back into, they start to dig into your history and finances and all of that. So it's interesting, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. Look, we're literally here at NBA Summer League, at World Series of Poker. It's one of even though it's 116 degrees out there,
but as long as you're indoors,
one of the funnest times.
Look at this beautiful where we are.
Boy, this air conditioning feels pretty good here, folks.
Exactly.
You know what? Our camera guys, you know what they wanted to do to you earlier today? I want to let you know. They wanted us to go film out on the dais out there. I was like, me and Derek Brooks will die if we're
116.
We're getting in the pool. I'll tell you that. We'll be filming in the pool.
I'm like, screw this. Find us air conditioning, bro.
These guys are adventurers, and they do their job so well that they didn't think about killing us.
30 years ago, Barbara, I know her by her married name.
Right.
She was the last woman to make the final table at the World Series of Poker main event. 30 years ago. This year, it was broken. So you have a woman at the table who's in 5th chip position for the first time in 30 years. What do you think about that, Jamie?
It's amazing, and it's about time.
Isn't it crazy that it took that long?
There's
a lot of women enter.
Oh, there's so many phenomenal women who play poker who deserve to be there, and it was just a matter of time. And so I'm so glad that it's happening because it's great for poker. Yeah. This is obviously a great player. I don't know her well, but she's obviously a great player who, has earned it. Yeah. And, it's the kind of thing where it brings more attention to the sport. Yeah. Brings more attention to the game. Yeah. It makes more women want to play because they aspire to.
Yeah.
You know, they don't think it's just an old boys club, which it's not.
Yeah.
It is completely welcoming to women. Now, the problem is that there have been some, you know, female friends of mine that have said that sometimes when women are playing with all men, that, you know, people make inappropriate comments, and that now the same thing that they're doing to the guys, right? In a poker game, people are needling people just constantly. It is part of
banter.
You know, it's like if a woman
Banter is
played
part
in a
of-
men's league in basketball, they would be saying some things, right? And so, right? I mean, it's just the way it, right? It's just the way that it is now. But I don't. It's not that I'm saying that I condone it. I don't condone it. I understand why women would shy away from the game, but I love all of these. There's Poker Power and Inside the Poker Mind and all these women's groups that are just playing poker for women, so that they can get comfortable and then come, you know, and take down the men.
Here's what's really cool about this too. I say this as a very Philly guy, just like you, Brooks. There's no handicap. There's no, you know what? You get an extra 25,000 chips because you're half as tall as this person.
Right, no ladies too.
There's no, exactly right. There's no ladies.
Nor should there be.
She played the exact same game that everybody else at that table did.